What's going on, everybody? DStyleBoxing here. Thanks to those joining me live and to those who'll be joining me on archive. If you're listening on archive, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and thumbs up the video. All right? Check it out. Check it out. All right? As you listen to this video, it's up. Sporting News put up this video, right? The video is titled, Eddie Hearn reveals details of why Joshua Wilder fell apart. That's what the video is titled. Eddie Hearn reveals details as to why it fell apart. Right? Eddie Hearn is such a good liar. All right? If you didn't know all the facts of surrounding this whole situation, and you just listened to Eddie Hearn, his ability to turn himself and Joshua into the victims and all this is a piece of work. All right? His ability with that silver tongue of his to just lie and lie with a straight face like that is astonishing to watch. All right. It's also astonishing to listen to this guy give some pretty weak explanations as to why there's so many obstacles for the fight. And without purposely telling on himself, he tells on himself. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because he confirmed something that some people in the UK have been arguing with me about, the fact that there's more money for this fight in the US. And Eddie Hearn admits it in this video. So that argument is over. All right? Now, he says it in a way that he justifies why he should still be in the UK in his own way. But this idea that, of course, there's more money in the U.S. for this fight. All right? Of course there is. Now, notice we're going to expose a couple things from Eddie Hearn here. All right? You see, when you just let a guy, talk freely and you give him softball questions, like because that's what this was. No offense. I don't know the upload or anything. Okay, they're trying to get their content up, and they did. They let Eddie Hearn speak his mind, but I personally would have asked, some tougher questions. I wouldn't attack the guy, but there's some things I would have said, well, wait a minute, Eddie. Wait a minute. You're kind of contradicting yourself here. But nonetheless, all right, he's also really good at just throwing some shots at Wilder, and then, he's just really good at just throwing these shots. And what he does is Eddie Hearn feeds his parrots. Okay, Eddie Hearn comes out. He's just planting seeds or just throwing seeds in the ground for all his parrots to come out and come out on YouTube and just talk to people about and tell us all the things that Eddie Hearn said. Oh, Eddie Hearn has been so consistent. Oh, Eddie Hearn said this, and notice the things that come out of Eddie Hearn's mouth. Just notice his pattern. When Eddie Hearn insinuates something and makes little remarks, all of a sudden, all the parasites come out and they start saying the same thing. All right? Now, they won't say, well, like Eddie Hearn said, right? But they might as well. Almost every AJ defender on here, you could start off and read them. Read all their comments. All right? Whatever the comment says, you can literally start it with, like Eddie Hearn said. Right? I promise you. Anytime you read a comment from an AJ defender, you remember D-Style and look at that comment. Start it off with, like Eddie Hearn said, ... and then read that comment. And I swear to God, more often than not, it's going to sound like something Eddie Hearn said. He is feeding his parrots is what he's doing. Now, I hope they start saying there's more money in the fight for the U because I've been hearing that that's not true. How can that be true? There's no way there could be more money in the U.S. and this, that, and the third, right? Eddie Hearn knows there's more money in the U.S. and you're going to hear him say it. But first, we're going to hear him say some other things first. That's what we're going to do. That's right. I'm going to make you wait a little bit, but it's going to be good on the way there. All right? Let's listen to this clown. All right? Let's listen to this clown. That is Eddie Hearn. All right? We're going to listen any moment. We're going to listen to this clown, and we're going to address some of the things he says. All right? This guy is out of control. I mean, they need to release a video of promoters gone wild. This guy has to be in the cover. Check it out. All right, guys. Hope you're ready. Get your popcorn ready here. Right? Some of the things this guy says, I mean, it's classic. I mean, holy shit. All right. This is great. All right. Let's just listen to this. All right. All right, we're gonna. After asking him, why did this fight fall apart? What's going on, Eddie? Why couldn't this fight happen? Tell us.
This long to happen. I think there's multiple.
Let's see here.
Wilder's done a great job of using Joshua's name to improve his profile in the last couple of months. I don't blame him for that. It's worked unquestionably. You have a guy there who is one of. I mean, certainly in his position, I call him the lowest paid heavyweight world champion of all time.
So first he starts off, you see these things that he says? He literally just said, Wilder's the lowest paid heavyweight of all time. That's literally what he just said, right? So now, a bunch of people are going to come out, lowest paid heavyweight of all time, right? Now he's planting that in people's heads. So people start saying, well, Josh, he should be thankful for whatever offer they give him, right? That's what he's planting that in their head. That's why they come out and they say a lot of these things. Like he's just saying that. So any guy that's ever had a strap ever, you're telling me he's the lowest paid ever. I mean, this is insane. And then there's a backhand compliment, right? Oh, yeah, he's been using Joshua to up his profile, he said, right? He shouldn't call the other guy out because he wants to fight the guy? Like what? Okay. I guess. But let's listen to more of this.
So you have a very, say, bitter person, but someone who looks at Anthony Joshua and thinks, how's this guy making 10 times what I'm making per fight? Yet he accuses us of being bad promoters.
Yeah, first of all, Eddie Hearn is making it sound like Anthony Joshua's been making, quote unquote, 10 times more the amount of money, okay, that Wilder has, right, for years now. He's making it sound like that's been the case like forever, right? They were making relatively the same amount of purses, all right, before Anthony Joshua fought who? Klitschko. And then he got way more than he ever did before, because that's what happens when you have an unification fight. Notice he never talked like this about any other Joshua opponent. Only with Wilder, like this stuff comes up, right? How much was Parker making per fight? I mean, the way he talks about Wilder is very unique, right, than anybody else. Just notice that.
Whatever, and you've got a guy who, in a small little pond like the UK.
Oh, you see that? We live in a small little itty bitty little pond. We're in a small itty bitty little pond. Only like 4 people live here, and we still get more money than Wilder, right? People in the UK do not understand the geography of the US. They just don't. Okay? Yes, there's more people in the US. That is true, okay? I don't know what's 5 times, but let's say it is, okay? 60 million. I wouldn't say 5 times, right? Maybe 4.5, but whatever, give or take, all right? First of all right, this is just number one. The geography, okay? If a fight's in Alabama, it's quite a trip to go from Seattle. Okay, let me look at a map here. Okay, Seattle, Washington is farther to Alabama than the UK is to what? Freaking France, Spain. You got to understand the geography here. Okay, we have states that are the size of that are bigger than the UK in terms of geography. Maybe not population, but in terms of geography. Just because a fight's in the U.S. doesn't mean that all 300 million people have access to the fight like right away. Okay? It is absolute horse shit to make that argument. That is stupid. That is insane. All right? Like this is crazy. Like, yes, I get that the fight's in the U.S. If a fight's in Vegas, you know how far New York City is to Vegas? It's not like a 2-hour drive now. All right? That's a trip. You got to book a plane flight for that. So whenever they make this comparison, oh man, they're filling out a stadium and it's only a country of this many, right? Like, you guys do understand how ridiculous that sounds. Like, first of all, right, in the U.S., we just don't have a fetish to watch fights in stadiums. Like, I don't know how, like, you guys got to get this through your head. All right, the whole stadium thing is a gimmick. That's what it is, guys. All right? We don't sing at boxing fights. That's not something we do. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. It's not what we do. All right? We don't. It's not an American culture thing. It just isn't. We fill out stadiums here for appropriate sports. All right? Look, Manny Pacquiao was a huge name around 2009. He couldn't sell out a stadium in the U.S. He couldn't sell out Cowboy Stadium. Does it mean that Josh was a bigger name than Manny Pacquiao was in that time? Hell no. You guys got to understand this. Manny Pacquiao in 2009 couldn't sell out a stadium. He was very popular in the U.S. He was in every talk show. But you're demanding that Wilder has to do that? That's asinine. People will just watch it in their house. Mayweather never fought in a stadium. What does that mean? Nothing. It means nothing. I'm sorry to break that to you. But let's move on.
Yeah, what, 5 times smaller than minimum than the US? He's making 10 times more money per fight than.
Again, I already addressed the 10 times more money per fight thing, right? But let's get back to the geography of things, all right? Like, I get it that if you fight in the UK, it's a big deal, okay? You know, like, I understand that right now, boxing is hot in the UK. I don't want to discredit UK fans and their loyalty, right, at all. There was a time when Kelly Pavlik was huge in Ohio, right? He could sell out at one point. If Kelly Pavlik wasn't defeated by Hopkins the way he was, he probably would have sold out a stadium in Ohio if he wanted to. Because in that region, in that part of the world, there was fans that could relate to him, right? In Ohio, Kelly Pavlik wasn't big like really anywhere else. So what this proves to me is that all you're showing me is that he's extremely popular in his country, right? Like that's all you're showing me. Like, you're not showing me anything else. But I still don't get how that's relevant to the rest of the stuff Eddie Hearn is going to say.
Deontay Wilder. When you get a fight of this magnitude, there's so many different elements that.
And there it is, guys. That's what you call telling on yourself. How are you going to bash one half of this fight, one half of the bill, How are you going to tell people? How are you going to feed your troll lines like he's the lowest paid heavyweight of all time? How are you going to feed your trolls by telling everybody that it's that Wilder isn't a big name? Okay, he's just trying to make a name out of himself, using Joshua to propel himself up to greatness somehow and make himself relevant. This guy just isn't relevant. Okay. He's in a country of 300 million people, and he can't sell out a stadium and all this shit. How do you go from that to, when we're talking about a fight of this magnitude? Well, wait a minute. So there's something unique about this fight over all the other fights. This fight, see, I would have stopped him right there and I would have asked him, Eddie, what do you mean when you say a fight of this magnitude? Can you clarify to me what specifically you mean by that? When you're talking about Wilder versus Joshua and you say the term a fight of this magnitude, what do you mean by that? Because he told on himself right there. He knows this is a big fight. He just admitted it. Wilder isn't making a name out of himself using Joshua and all. No. Everybody wants to see this fight. He knows that this fight is unique, and he knows in this fight, Joshua will make the most money out of any other fight around right now. Regardless of whatever you want to say about Wilder, he knows this. Eddie Hearn knows this.
Into the negotiations. I think one of the problems is he has three managers. One is Al Heyman, doesn't have an email.
Here we go. I mean, he has three managers. It's just a big problem. I mean, he has Al Heyman. Al Heyman has no email. What? No one. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's true or not that Al Heyman has an email or not. I don't know. I don't know if he does. Right? And neither do you guys. Nobody knows. Right? Unless you personally have the email or you personally know he doesn't. I don't know if that's true or not. But apparently that's an obstacle because he needs to hear from the advisor of Wilder. He just has to. Right? So it's problematic that Wilder has a very intelligent man advising him, right? And the fact that he doesn't have an email, I mean, it's just a problem. Why is that a problem? How did Don King make fights happen? How do you make it happen? Are you telling me you can't find a way to fax it over? You can't fax something out to Al Heyman or what? He doesn't have an office you could fax him to? I mean, I don't know, but you can't find this out? Like if you really wanted to get a hold of the guy? A lot of businessmen happen to get a hold of Al Heyman. You can't do it or what? I thought you were a savvy businessman. But oh my God, he doesn't have an email. How am I supposed to make this fight happen?
Very smart guy. One is Shirley Winkle. Again, he's very, very old, and I have no problem.
Winkle's too old. He's an old guy. Wilder just has an old manager. It's one doesn't have an email, the other one's just old. I mean, look at all these excuses for Eddie Hearn. Excuses.
With old people, my father is one of them. That's why I let him talk to him. And one is Jay Diaz, who's the trainer and long-time manager of Deontay Wilder. So things have to go in this humongous circle of these three people who I don't think particularly like each other anyway.
And now he's saying these guys, I mean, they don't even like each other. It's a big problem. It's a big, giant circle, everybody. I mean, you just see this shit. Eddie Hearn is sitting on the table and he's using his hand to illustrate the big circle. I mean, it's just insane. You can't. I could just picture, by the way, a bunch of these Hearn and AJ defenders just being like, man, That's a big circle. Like, damn. Man, that's a huge circle, bruh. Like, man, going around that circle, holy shit. I mean, that's a big circle.
To try and make some progression. So we started off, and the sort of the chronology of this is quite straightforward, actually. We've been talking to these guys for, 6, 7, 8 months about this.
So we've been talking for. Notice how he just threw some months in there. Let me give myself some room here, in case I need a margin of error. This dude gave himself a 3-month margin of error. Okay, I mean, we've been talking to him for 6, 7, 8 months. Wait a minute. What, Eddie? You don't know when you started the conversations with him? It says 6, 7, 8 months. Like what? 6, 7, 8 months. So something like that. Like what? He's illustrating big circles, and he's doesn't even remember when he starts, supposedly, right? 6, wait a 7, wait a minute, 8 months, okay. I guess it'll fall. I mean, small detail, right? But I mean, talk about giving yourself a margin of error. I mean, this isn't some YouTuber like me, right? Just coming on here and being, how long have they been talking about this? Like 6, 7, 8 months? No, this is the promoter who's claiming he remembers every detail of this whole procedure, right? He's like, oh, I remember everything. Watch, look at this big circle. I mean, got Al Heyman, Finkel. I mean, it's just, let me just illustrate with my hand on this table how big this circle is that I have to go around. And like it's unbelievable that we started this process, 6, 7, 8 months ago. This is insane. This is crazy.
And we first made them an offer. And I don't like talking about money, but it's all out there now, so I don't have no problem saying it.
Right? And then, again, he's making himself into the victim. Right? I don't like to talk about him. I don't like to put this out in the open, but it's already out in the open. So, Like, is there something wrong with that, Eddie? That it's all out in the open? I think that's perfectly fine. Right? This dude doesn't even remember when he first sent his first offer. He gave himself a 3-month margin of error. This is crazy. All right? If I applied to a job or I made somebody an offer, all right, and it was this big, I would remember when I did it, right? Like, I would probably struggle to remember if it was on a Wednesday or a Thursday, right? But I'm not going to be like, it was 6, 7, 8 months ago. All right.
For $12.5 million to fight Anthony Joshua in the UK. Now, we always appreciated that there's more money for this fight in the US.
Oh, shot to the liver. To all the UK big mouths that have been arguing with me, right? Not everybody, and not necessarily all from the UK, but arguing with me that no, there's more money in the UK and blah, 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 arguing with me about it. Ignoring the facts, because I stick to the facts. And look, your own hero just admitted on camera that there's more money. He said we always appreciated that there's more money to be made in the U.S. for this fight. He just said it, right? That debate's over. That's it. Your hero betrayed you. And let me tell you, just like Eddie Hearn always does, at some point, points you're making and arguing in favor of him for, he's going to contradict you at some point. He's going to say it on camera, all right? And that's it. Cool? All right.
But I feel that with what Joshua has done in the UK, with what the fans have done in terms of supporting him, and the history and the legacy that this fight can create, this is where we wanted to do it.
The legacy and the history. I mean, look about how he talks about this fight. You know, like notice he's always throwing shots at Wilder. Wilder ain't shit. Wilder can't make any money. Wilder's the lowest paid heavyweight of all time. Wilder's using Joshua to put his name out there. Wilder's this, Wilder's that. I mean, wow, he's just so condescending when he talks about Wilder. But when he talks about the fight, he just told on himself again, right? To justify not making the fight in the U.S., admitting that there is more money, something that I've been arguing for a while. So have many others, okay? But since we stick to facts and we're right, it's just the reality, right? There you go. Eddie Hearn just admitted, I've always appreciated that there's more money in the U.S. Boom. Okay, that's that. And look at, he just said, for the legacy of this fight, the magnitude of this fight. He's never talked. He doesn't talk about the Povetkin fight like this. He doesn't talk about the Wilder fight like this. The Dillian White fight. He doesn't talk about the fights like this. When it comes to the Wilder fight, a fight, listen to the language, a fight of this magnitude. The importance of Joshua's legacy and the history that will be made with this fight. It sounds to me like you need Joshua on the, Wilder on the bill to really make this fight happen. It sounds like it's a pretty big fight, and Wilder really deserves a pretty big pot of that pie. Piece of that pie, I'm sorry. A big piece of the pot. Yeah, whatever. Mix that up a little bit. I mean, these shots to the liver, they don't stop. I've been telling you guys, Eddie Hearn will expose himself and tell on himself in the same sentence sometimes, in the same paragraph. Let's listen to a little more.
UK. So we offered them $12.5 million. Probably represented about 30% of the pot, I would say. They didn't turn it down. They didn't respond. Okay. So Joshua did an interview, kind of tongue-in-cheek, saying that they said this fight's worth $100 million. Give me $50 million, I'll fight you. Probably the worst thing you should have done.
You hear that? Now, Eddie Hearn tried to pass that off as, oh, you know, Wilder in a tongue-in-cheek said that if it's $100 million fight, you know, give me $50 million, you know. But when you look at his body language, right? Like he's been holding that in for a while. Oh, that's probably the worst thing he could have done. Why is that the worst thing he could have done? That's the worst thing Joshua could have done? Like saying, give me $50 million was the worst thing he could have done? Well, he could have gotten $50 million. Right? But why would that be the worst thing he's ever done? If it gets you the $50 million, what's the big deal? No, but DStyle, you don't understand. It's the worst thing he could have done. Like that's, listen, Eddie Hearn, is it revealing himself there that he didn't like that? Okay? He literally just said that's the worst thing Joshua could have ever done. He just said it on camera. You still believe that this guy has nothing to do with preventing this fight from happening? That you don't think he talked Joshua out of it? Really? And there's going to be something else going on here, which is going to correlate to some other stuff I've talked about.
And they come back and said, all right. So Deontay Wilder sent him an email and said, I will give you $50 million for this fight. So he said, that's unique. An offer from a fighter. You know, no disrespect to Deontay Wilder. He certainly doesn't have $50 million.
Oh, that's where those comments came from. How's Wilder going to offer $50 million if he's only worth $12 million net worth? I've been reading those comments, bro. Like, where did they get this from? Well, they just they're getting it from this guy. They're getting it from Eddie Hearn. They're getting it from Eddie Hearn. They're parroting. They're parroting Eddie Hearn. Okay. Look at these guys parroting Eddie Hearn. I mean, holy shit. Just parroting the guy. So first of all, so according to Eddie Hearn, Wilder, the fighter, right? Listen to what he said. Okay, I want to, because this goes into the heart of Eddie Hearn's control. Okay, Eddie Hearn is never going to come out and say, "Yes, I'm a compulsive, controlling asshole." Right? He's never going to come out and say that. But you got to listen to what he says. He was appalled that a fighter offered the fighter directly money. All right? Listen closely to what he said. Oh, really? All condescending too, like a fighter offering the other fighter. And first of all, the worst thing Joshua could have done was demand $50 million, right? That's the worst thing he could have done. Why? Because Joshua's talking about money and he hasn't consulted with Eddie Hearn yet. Okay? It's about control. Wilder emailed Joshua, right? According to Hearn. Okay, I'll give you the $50 million for the fight. And remember the tweet from Joshua that said, let's go and let's do this? Remember that? All right? That's called circumstantial evidence, by the way. Listen, Eddie Hearn was appalled by that. So now, if we go back to the Dana White interview, where Dana White said that Joshua was about to become a free agent, and they were talking business with Joshua about coming to the U.S. Zuffa Boxing wanted to invest money in him, and they even told him, you don't have to leave Eddie Hearn. And from Dana White's account, Eddie Hearn acted like a jealous girlfriend pretty much, okay? That he was insulted that Joshua would be talking business, quote unquote, behind his back, even though that's not what was happening. And even though he was going to become a free agent, he's free to negotiate with anybody else or talk to anybody else about business. It's about control. That's what it is. It's not unprecedented for a fighter to tell another fighter, hey, we'll give you this much. Says who? That's just not true. All right? A lot of these arguments people are making, they're getting it from this guy. Okay? Now, you might say, well, that's an unconventional thing, but it's not unprecedented. Mayweather, okay, walked across the floor at a basketball game and exchanged phone numbers with Manny Pacquiao and talked about, hey, let's get this fight going. Let's make this fight. It's not unprecedented for a fighter to reach out to another fighter directly. That's just not true. I just gave you a quick example about that. This is absolute nonsense. All right? I mean, just making shit up. If I could come up with a quick example at the top of my head, it's not unprecedented. What's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with the people that just believe everything he says? I still can't get over the big-ass circle he was, motioning with his hand on the table. This shit's insane.
So we came back and we said, I was actually in New York. I said, I'm very interested. Can we meet to discuss? This was to Shelley.
So according to Hearn, we're very interested in this deal. Now notice, just 4 seconds ago, he said that that's the worst thing Joshua could have done. Right? But now he wants to tell us that, oh, he was very interested in this deal. Oh, I want to talk about this deal. What's going on? Right? This is what Eddie Hearn has said. All right? This is Eddie Hearn's account.
Shelley said, you have to accept the fight first. I said, well, we're interested. That should be enough for you. But I need to know a lot more about this offer. I can't commit someone like Anthony Joshua to an offer like this without knowing the details.
Does Eddie Hearn not understand that you're not committing to anything until you sign a contract? It's real simple. It's a simple question. We got $50 million. Do you accept? We'll iron out the details right now, but do you accept? Yes or no? No, I don't know. Accept. We're not going to play these games. You accept the fight, yes or no? It's as simple as that. It's that simple. And part of it, let's not pretend, by the way, all right? Let's not pretend like Eddie Hearn is not aware that turning down the $50 million has been bad for the image of Anthony Joshua. He is well aware of this. And you're about to listen as to why all of a sudden you have a bunch of people lately saying that the $50 million deal was never a real deal. That has reemerged. You're about to listen as to why. Okay? There's always a correlation. You know what? Beyond that, there's always a causation between Eddie Hearn saying something and then all his parrots start to parrot everything he says. It always happens.
A meeting would be non-productive, this is what he said, and you need to accept the offer first. So I thought that's bizarre. You don't want to talk about an offer of $50 million.
Eddie Hearn is making it sound, okay, like the way he makes it sound was like they blackmailed him into this situation, okay? I mean, the shit's insane, man. Your fighter basically says, you could call it tongue-in-cheek or you could say whatever you want, and then you can, tell on yourself, and we've already talked about that, okay? But at the end of the day, right, Eddie Hearn's account is just crazy to me, right? They're the ones that originally came out and said, here's your flat fee. Take it or leave it. That precedent was started by Eddie Hearn. The way these negotiations went down, all that was started by Eddie Hearn and Joshua's people. They set these standards to begin with. Now, there's no reason why you can't talk about whatever, and there's no reason why you can't agree, okay, to the basic points, all right, before you even start ironing out details. If you can't even, if I offer you, look, man, if I have a construction project that I need to work on, right, and I'm going to pay your company, I'm offering you $50 million. Yes, I know that we got to get the lawyers together. I know we got to iron out some details. That is absolutely understood. I know there's still going to be some negotiation taking place. I already know that, right? But if I'm going to make a deal with you and I'm offering you $50 million, and you can't even tell me if that's good. Oh, yes, we'll accept that. Yes, definitely. I'll take the $50 million. Hey, let me get my lawyers. You get your lawyers. We'll iron out all these details. Boom, done. And if we meet and you find that it's not meeting your standards, like if we show up and this is the age of social media, right? You got the contract. Okay, let me look at this contract. Wait a minute, your offering is this? Let me take a picture of this. Click. This is going to go out to the public unless you give me a contract that says $50 million right now. All right? Like, let's not act like it wouldn't have backfired on Wilder's team if they went to the negotiations and then there was something different to the $50 million. Let's not act like that's the case. What do you think? I'm stupid? Plus, you've admitted earlier in the video that you didn't want to make the fight in the U.S., Eddie. You've already admitted that. You've already admitted, Eddie, that there's more money. You already, quote unquote, appreciate the fact that there's more money to be made in the U.S. because you got schooled, right, about that fact. You can't admit all those things and then come out and act like you were really interested in this offer, Eddie. You can't admit the fact that it bothered you, that a fighter, quote unquote, how dare a fighter make this offer? Because you're assuming that Wilder just make this offer off the cuff. Like Wilder didn't consult his advisor that he has hired to advise him. Because you're assuming that he didn't talk to the three. You remember that big circle, Eddie, that you were circling on the table, Eddie? Yeah, big ass circle you were motioning. Well, you think Wilder doesn't go through that circle you were motioning? You think Wilder just was imagining himself having 50 million? He was gonna give it to Joshua. Come on, Eddie. You've already revealed too much before you said this, Eddie. You should have never said those things. You should have never said that it bothered you that Joshua said that on camera. You should have never have, acted the way you did with Dana White, because it revealed a lot about your character. You should have never said in a condescending way, oh, really? A fighter making the offer? This isn't the 1900s anymore, Eddie. Fighters are running their own shit now. Times have changed. Fighters are their own promoters nowadays, sometimes even. And you're acting shocked and like it's unprecedented that a fighter can make an offer? Really, Eddie? Come on, Eddie. This is insane.
So I spoke to Anthony about it, and we all agreed. This is of interest. We'd like to see the contract. So I went back to them and said, we'd like to see the contract. Now, there's this big thing about proof of funds. Now, and of course, I would have asked for proof of funds if we would have even got that far.
Right. Notice, Eddie Hearn just said, okay, that he never, ever asked for proof of funds. He just said that on camera, right? I'm going to research that right after I finish this video, okay? Because I don't remember, but I do know that there was a lot of people all over saying, well, where's the proof of funds? Show me the proof. How do we know you got the money? How do you know you got the money? All right? Because, look, I don't remember every detail here. I wasn't the one doing the negotiation. If I was, I would. I wouldn't be saying things like, yeah, we started about 6, 7, 8 months ago. I wouldn't be saying things like that. But come on, Eddie. You just said that on camera. So if there's something before that's contrary to that, that's not going to make you look good, Eddie. Okay? I'm just making that clear right now. Now, I don't need this one piece. There's enough contradictions out there. This will just add to it. According to Eddie, he never questioned the proof of funds because they never got that far, according to him, right? Well, we know it never went very far, right? But what is strange is, and you're about to hear it, he's then going to insinuate that there wasn't any funds.
People say they provided proof of funds. It's absolute bullshit. They didn't provide anything, not even a contract.
Then he goes out of his way. He says, oh, they had provided proof of funds. They never provided anything. They never provided a contract. It's all horseshit. That's what Eddie Hearn just said. And that's why you've been hearing all the parrots lately come out and talk about how there was never any proof of funds because Eddie Hearn said so. Okay? That's why they're saying that.
I answered a couple of questions. You'd be in the US, etc., etc. But I said, we need to see a contract. We're not sending you a contract.
There you go. You see how he mentioned? Oh, that's a question, is it going to be in the U.S., et cetera, et cetera? There's no et cetera, et cetera. This whole thing was about the fight being in the U.S., right? In order for Joshua to make that money, the fight had to be in the U.S., okay? Now, I don't know if he already said it or he's about to say it, but according to him, the offer they made Wilder, whether it was the 15 or the 12.5, was going to be 30% of the purse, according to Eddie Hearn, okay? If that's true, then why didn't you offer the guy 30% to begin with? Why wasn't that the starting point of the negotiation? Why does he have to get a flat fee? I mean, you're the one talking about the magnitude of the fight. You're the one talking about how this is history and how it's important to the legacy of Anthony Joshua. Why is this fight so unique? Stop telling on yourself, Eddie.
Until you accept this fight. I said, well, I'm not accepting the fight because what they want you to do is publicly accept the fight. And then once, things.
There we go. First of all, Eddie Hearn, listen to what he just said, okay? According to Eddie Hearn, right, they weren't going to send him a contract unless he publicly said, we will take the fight under any condition, which is just not the case. All you have to say was, look, if you're serious, if my fighter is going to make a guaranteed $50 million, then yes, we will make this fight. Okay, I could guarantee you that is not the conversation that was had, right? First, he's saying that Finkel, okay, whether it was email or on the phone, whatever it was telling him, well, first you have to accept. If you accept it, then we'll iron out the contract, right? Now he's saying, making it sound again like he was blackmailed, and the condition was that he had to go out there and announce that the fight is made and that they've agreed to all terms before they actually read over the terms. That's not true, and Eddie Hearn is fucking lying. Okay?
It breaks down. You look bad, so I don't want to accept a fight until I see the contract. We're not saying.
Look, by definition, you haven't accepted anything until you sign it. Okay? It's not an ironclad deal until you sign it. But there's no reason why you can't just agree in principle, okay? It's like this, okay? Hey, I want a brand new picket fence around my house. Let me call somebody right now. White Picket Fence Incorporated, how can I help you? Hello, my name is DStyle. I want a brand new white picket fence. All right, DStyle. Well, let's go over some of our rates right now. We have a rate right now of, for $49 an hour, plus supplies included. We'll go ahead and set that up for you. How's that sound? I don't know, man. I need you to send me a contract before we talk about any of the details. Okay. No, sir. Well, I mean, keep in mind when a representative goes out there, he will have the paperwork ready so you can go over it. If you at that point decide that no, look, I'm done talking. Okay, bring me the contract and then we'll talk. Well, sir, we need your address. Bring me the contract and then we'll talk. Okay, but that's not the way it works. It's perfectly fine. Okay, people do it all the time. Okay, if you call DirecTV right now and say, hey, I want DirecTV, you're going to talk to them about the channels you want. Okay, we're going to give you this package. We have this package. We'll have this. How many boxes do you want? Okay, we're going to have a satellite dish, and we can maybe put in the roof, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. Okay? You don't ask them for the contract first. Say, yeah, I want to sign up for DirecTV, but I need you to send me a contract first. Sir, I mean, we could go over the prices right now. Well, you're going to be paying monthly. No. Before I even talk to you about prices and before I even talk to you about anything, the channel lineup, all that, send me a contract. All right? That's not the way it works. You could agree in principle, okay? If somebody is serious, they would have said yes, okay? They would have met up. It's if you want to, if you believe that they're quote-unquote setting you up, then all you do is tweet out. It's simple. Wilder's team has presented a $50 million offer, blah, 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 blah. We're going to meet with them today. Done. If it turns out there was no $50 million offer, you leave the boarding room. Hey, guys, guess what? It was all fraud. I have a copy of the contract. There was no $50 million on the table. I would have been the first one to come out and say, what the fuck? Why are you making fake offers for? But that's not what happened.
Okay, fair enough. In the weeks after that, we spoke to the training team and Anthony, and it was decided, look, we want to make a play for this fight in the UK. This is where this fight should be, we believe. So I went back to Deontay Wilder, and we offered him an improved offer of $15 million.
Now notice, this is a small detail, but I just want to say this. One, where are all the guys in the UK that were supposedly, quote unquote, correcting me when I was telling you it wasn't 19 million that Wilder originally rejected? Where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? I told you it was 12.5. Okay. So I was right about that because I actually go by the facts and a lot of you don't. Okay. I know a lot of you are pretending like you were never making that argument, but I'm just throwing that out there. Also, notice how a lot of you were saying, oh, Wilder should just shut up and take whatever they give him and all this condescending shit. Well, did he or did he not, according to Eddie Hearn here, get a better offer for 12.5 to 50 million? See what happens when you negotiate. All right. Now let's listen to Eddie Hearn here. Okay, I'm already getting tired of listening to this guy, but let's see.
7 times his highest purse so far, 6 times. And we didn't hear from him for nearly a month. In that month, quite a lot had happened with Povetkin, who's obviously our mandatory. Povetkin mandatory got called over 2 months ago by the WBA. And for those
Eddie Hearn is about to listen to him. Oh, he just said over 2 months ago, right? Again, giving himself a margin of error for whatever reason. Okay. So for 2 months, he's going to make the argument that he's been postponing this Povetkin thing, right? He's just been postponing it, according to him, right? Because he's trying to make this Wilder fight happen, right? Like this is insane. All right. This is just him patting. Like if Eddie Hearn were to pat himself any harder in the back, he'd break his, okay, he would break his spine. All right. I mean, this is insane. Listen to this nonsense. For 2 months, he's been waiting for Wilder's team to agree to something, according to him. All right. This is crazy. But just listen to this.
we don't know that. I send you a letter and say, you have 28 days to negotiate, then we're going to purse bids. Since that negotiation period was over, we've asked for probably 6 or 7 extensions to the...
Is it 6 or is it 7, Eddie? But you don't know how many extensions you've asked for? Small detail, but, you know.
Period. Trying to make the Wilder fight. So that's the history of the WBA. So a month after I offered nearly, they came back and said, we accept the 15 million and our terms, which we put in the email, 5 or 6 of the key points. We accept your terms and the offer. Can we have a contract? This was on like a Monday or something like that. So I said, no problem. I'll have a contract with you by Friday.
Right. So Eddie Hearn says on a Monday, they were like, oh, this, that. Now notice this. Notice what he said, right? Eddie Hearn just admitted on camera that Wilder's team agreed to the terms, but they had some questions about 1 or 2 things. And then Eddie Hearn says, no problem. I'll send you the contract on Friday. So when Wilder's team offers $50 million, it's no. We've got to meet up. We can't talk about no more. We're going to meet up. We're not going to talk about anything. I got to see the contract, right? On the same interview, you just heard it. Wilder's team, quote unquote, agreed to everything except 2 points that we could negotiate, we could iron out. But no problem. I went ahead and sent him the contract. This, you can't make the shit up. The term you can't make the shit up is an overused term. But you cannot make this shit up. All right? He tells on himself here.
A lot has changed. We've lost venues. Canelo Golovkin's been announced, so we can't do Wilder Joshua in September because the US broadcast don't want to spend as much money. Could have been a week after Canelo, but we're working now in October. So
apparently Golovkin, Canelo, you know, which was going to be on HBO pay-per-view, okay? Not on Showtime. Eddie Hearn is lying to people. And that was going to be in the afternoon. You don't want the fight in the U.S., remember? You want it in the U.K. It was going to be in the afternoon, you blithering idiot. It doesn't matter if Canelo was going to fight Golovkin. Oh, and the networks don't want to. What are you talking about? This is absolutely, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. I mean, this guy's getting picked apart right now.
November, we'll come back to it. On Friday, I didn't quite finish the contract. So I emailed Shirley and said, it'll be with you on Monday. He said, no problem.
All right. Notice, right? Eddie Hearn on a Monday said he'll iron out the contract, and it took him a whole week, but longer than a week, because he couldn't have it by Friday. He told him I'll have it by Monday, right? So Eddie Hearn can take all the time he wants to iron out a contract before Wilder's team can look at it. Wilder's team has to agree on email and over the phone to all these terms before they can look at the contract. Okay? But it doesn't work the same the other way. That's called a double standard. Right?
So I sent it on Monday. I also said to him, as you know, seen by the media, working on it.
You know, a trait of a liar is when they give you very specific details about irrelevant shit. All right? Notice how he's so eloquently trying to explain, like, oh, yeah, I told him on Monday that I was going to send it on Friday, but I did, call Finko, and I told him, hey, yo, I can't, I mean, I say it in my own way, right? But, yeah, I can't send the contract out, but I have it out by Monday, because he's trying to appear as honest, right? Oh, look, man, he's being honest about the little details. He remembers all those little details, but he doesn't remember when the negotiations started. When he talks about that, we started about 6, 7, 8 months ago. So something like that. We have to ask you an extension about 6, 7, 8 times, something like that. Like all the important shit, like he can't remember. Like he has amnesia, right? Irrelevant little that's an irrelevant detail, okay? All you have to say was, I had originally told him that I'll have it sent on Friday. We got it till Monday. Something came up, and then move on. But notice how he's trying to be all detail and like, oh, yeah, look at me. I'm a very honest guy. Look, I'm even exposing myself. I'm Eddie Hearn. I'm able to criticize myself. I told him Friday, but I wasn't able to get it on Friday. I have to get it out there till Monday. The fuck are you trying to kid, huh? And then he's talking about, if we agree to the terms, then it makes us look bad. Talk about projection, by the way. Because that's what he did to Wilder's team. Right? Because was he using it as an ammunition to say what he said, what Eddie Hearn is claiming Wilder's team was attempting to do to him, he's doing right now to Wilder's team. Eddie Hearn thinks this way because that's what he does, people. That's what he does. He's the one that wanted them to agree to terms, okay, in retrospect, but then send them a contract that they're going to have to really go over with lawyers. All right? And maybe it's not going to be exactly what they talked about over email and the phone.
October, November. November was a problem with Cardiff. There's only one place to hold it in the UK. Cardiff is the only indoor arena. 80,000 for our last 2 fights have been. So we set out on Monday. On the, I think, Thursday or Friday, he came back and says, obviously they knew we were working on a date.
Notice that? Can't remember the details on certain things all of a sudden.
But can you confirm that it's Joshua's next fight? So I said, yes, I can confirm it's Joshua's next fight. Then on the Sunday, they sent another email to say, we'll be back with a contract on Friday, which was a further 6 days. So it's nearly 2 weeks from when we sent it. They knew at the same time the WBA was crushing us every day, and we were putting them off every day. So for me, it was a stalling tactic.
First of all, Eddie Hearn claiming that Finkel and apparently Al Heyman, because he's just saying they, right? That's why I assume he's referring to. And Wilder, right? Like, they know what the WBA is telling Hearn. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounds like a stretch to me, right? Like, they were on top, but what, they're intercepting the emails or the phone calls or what? I mean, like, what's going on here? You know, that's something else I got to kind of look at here. That's kind of strange. I'm just putting that out there, right?
To delay the inevitable. So then he came out in the media on Monday, Shirley, and said, we've got our comments on the contract. It's only 2 minor points. We'll be back to them on Friday. And it's like, so you know the comments already, but you want to wait another 5 days to send them. Why is that?
So they can't wait another 5 days? You can't wait 5 days? I mean, Eddie Hearn claims that they've been at it for 6, 7, 8 months. He doesn't remember how long, but he can't wait another 5 days, right? It took you 5 days to send a contract, and then you actually couldn't do it, according to you, and then it took you another 3 days. But all right.
You want to make this fight so badly. So the WBA, I think, saw that interview with Dan Raphael and said,
now, according to Eddie Hearn, right, the WBA was looking at Dan Raphael's interview, right, and they just decided, you know, to act against this whole fight happening, right? Like, he can't, like, Eddie Hearn can't make up his mind whether he wants to blame the WBA or Joshua's people, right? I just know that he's doing a very fine job at portraying himself as the victim and the noble crusader that is trying to make this fight happen, right? If you want to listen to the rest of the interview, you can. I'm going to play the whole thing. I've had enough of listening to Eddie Hearn, right? I basically made my point. I've made my point. I do apologize because I was playing this video. I was unable to be in the chat, okay? But I always, even if I don't do it live, I always look at the comments, okay? All right, a lot of comments on here, but I'll go ahead and read over those guys, okay? A lot of great comments on here. AJ10, you are right. Joe said, let me sleep. All right, all right, all right. Anyway, I just wanted to make those points. Just wanted to dissect Eddie Hearn here. And if anybody wants to look up some of those things I mentioned, one, is there any way Wilder's team could possibly know what the WBA is emailing and telling, you know, Eddie Hearn? Maybe this stuff is public. Maybe it's, I don't know. I honestly don't know, right? But that's an interesting point that needs to be looked at, right? And there's some other interesting points as well, right? But this is absolutely insane. Look at Amy. Look at Amy 360. Look at this guy. Who is this guy? Look, what is he doing here? Look, some nerve has been struck, people. The nerve has been struck. And this is, unfortunately, I am talking politics. I'd love to talk about the fight. I'd love to say, man, I can't wait for this fight to happen. Let's talk about the game plan for each fighter to win. But no, unfortunately, I am covering a politician, Eddie Hearn, a promoter, okay, who has brainwashed people to believe he's telling the truth. When he's constantly changing his narrative, he's constantly changing his story, changing his tune, contradicting himself. Now, he never asked for proof of funds, according to him. He never did that. Well, of course he's going to say that because he was proven wrong, right? I mean, the narrative changed dramatically. So that's all I got to say. Right. Like they got to sign no date, no venue. Like they got to sign the contract, right? This is stupid. You don't do that. Are you shitting me? You can't be serious. I mean, Eddie Hearn has the nerve to talk about unprecedented. No date, no venue here, but sign. That's not a serious contract. And Canelo, Gennady Golovkin. First of all, right? First of all, can somebody check the dates here, though? Because, I don't know, something, I got to look into that a little more, but it's not adding up. Like the timeline of Eddie Hearn is not adding up, right? But Gennady Golovkin and Canelo, nonetheless, are not going to intervene with this fight because you don't want the fight in the U.S., Eddie, right? And let me make my final point. Here's my final point, right? It's really, really simple, right? Let me read this comment. Let me see this really quick. I'm an American, and I can't see how someone walk away, not sign a contract to fight, and claim the other guy don't want to fight. Crying face. This is what you call a troll, right? It's just that's what you call. That's what this is. First of all, what does you being American have to do with anything? Well, what do you think because you're American? If that's true or not is irrelevant, but do you think because you say that since Wilder's American, it makes your criticism legit? Like, you know what I mean? Like what does that even mean? That's like saying, hey, I'm Mexican, but tacos suck. Like, I don't know. Like what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Right? But anyway, let me make my final point here. Right? Eddie Hearn admits that there's more money for this fight in the UK. He admitted that. So in essence, he's admitting that Wilder, right, and Joshua are losing money in the process because their purses are going to decrease because of that fact. So let's not forget, right, that Wilder is losing money by fighting in the UK. Joshua is gaining money by fighting in the USA. That's just the truth, right? So just keep that in mind. It's just a small fact I want to put out there. This is DStyleBoxing. And Tila, Wally, before I go, let me do this really quick. All right? Let me do this. I'm going to do something really quick before I go. This is going to feel so good. All right? All right, let me let this load up a little bit. Bear with me. Hold on. Wow, this is taking a while to load. Holy shit. I'm going to do this right now. Is Joe still on? Joe Host, are you there? Put in the chat if you're there. Where's Joe Host at? Did Joe Host sign out because I said I'm signing out? You see that Tilo Wally guy? There you go. All right. Now, with that said, this is the style. All right. And I am out of here. Peace out.